Hi, I'm Brandeth Herbert-Audain, Financial Director with Blessed Community International Foundation. And today I want to run through the project planning process with you so you can gain some insights on the best practices to planning your projects or events in order to achieve the best results there is when applying for grants. So let's get started. Community projects create opportunities for neighbors to meet, visit, have fun, work together. So if you're considering running a new project or starting a project in your community, this is something that we need to take into consideration when we are planning. We need to know what the benefits of planning projects for our community are. Some of those benefits could be establishing friendships, promoting safe communities through knowing who your neighbors are. Hence, you create a sense of belonging. You provide a support for each other. It can be used to provide an opportunity to learn new skills, share one's gifts or one's talents, to explore your community's history, and most importantly, just to have fun. Project planning checklist. Some of the key things to consider are the goals and organization of your project. You want to make sure you're assessing the emerging trends. You know who you're targeting, who your target audience is, your demographics. You want to know about the possible barriers to participation. So here, for example, with the barriers, you want to think about the people in your community and consider what could prevent them from participating in your project. It is important to examine all barriers to ensure access to your project. Like, for example, some barriers may include income. Simply, some people might not be able to afford to get to your project or to even participate in that way financially. You want to think about the age of the people in your community. Are you planning your project to incorporate all ages or just a specific age? You want to look at the accessibility. How close is the facilities that you're going to be hosting your event at? You want to look at the time of day of your project, transportation to and from, because in as much as you want your people there, you don't want them stranded, and then you want to look at partnerships. You want to look at your funding. Your budget is very, very important. If you don't have a budget for your project, you ain't got no project to start or go anywhere with. You want to look at the fee structure. Are you going to be charging a fee for this event? The registration process. You're going to look at the marketing and advertising, because if you don't market and advertise your project properly, you won't get the participation that you desire. You're going to look at how you're going to deliver on your project. And after the project is complete, you want to look at evaluating your project. You want to make sure that you're thinking about how beneficial was it? Did it meet the needs of the people? What are the people in your community saying? How do they feel about your organization going forward, putting on events in your community? When we break down defining our charity's goals, like I said before, what do you want to achieve with this project? What opportunities will this project create for your community or organization? What are the needs and assets in your community? Once you have defined that, then you can move to the next stage of creating and organizing a committee. You need a committee comprised of a finance person or personnel, marketing and communication. You want a coordinator for your site or facility, and that coordinator will take care of setting up and taking down before and after the project or the event. And you want to look at your volunteer and staff recruitment. Am I going to have to be paying people to do things for this project, or is it going to be a community volunteer project? Then you want to look at your trends and assessments. What is emerging in your area? What has been done in the past? Can we better what was done in the past? Are there organizations with similar projects in my community? And if there are, can I partner with them? We want to make sure that we're not overstepping and overshadowing anybody, but we're working along with others in our communities, because the main goal is to advance our communities. Is there a capacity for your project based on what is currently being offered? Now you want to look at your resources. Your resources include your partnerships, right? And your partnerships would break out to being your different organizations for your country as well as locally. What are the different local organizations? So some of your countries or counties organization will include family and community services, parks and recreation, school boards, parent associations, subject matter experts, you know, people who has an idea out there on a project for your community or something that they would like to see happening in your country. You can work alongside with them, take their ideas, expand on them, and work along with them to bring some form of value to your community. You want to look at your local sports groups, your youth groups, um, your health authorities is very important. Do some health projects, because everybody can't afford the expensive medications and stuff like that, but you want to find an alternative to help them. Some might not be as versed on natural stuff, and some may want natural stuff. Provide that service for them. Then you want to work alongside the cultural and social organizations. Funding. You want to see where you can get funds from, the different sources, be it your government, be it a community development block grant. It could be from your local businesses or other organizations. And you want to make sure that when it comes to your funding and your grants, you're looking at all avenues. Nothing is off the table, because as long as you can get others involved in funding your project along with you, it will go easier on your community members as well, so they wouldn't have to put as much to helping fund the events. your project spaces. You want to consider what type of space is required for your project or your event and what suitable options are available to you. Appropriate space for the type of project you are running is essential to its success and satisfaction on the part of the participants. Accessibility is very important and must be considered, because if your event is not readily accessible, it is going to be a flop because you're not going to get anybody coming in to support. We're going to look now at the event plan. And here is where the project planning comes down to the nitty-gritty. First thing you want to make sure is that you're planning your date and time. Will this be a one-day project or workshop, or will it run for several weeks? Who are your potential participants, and what would be the best day of the week and time of day to run the project for them? What would be a suitable length of time for each day of the project? Once you've got that established, you're looking at your budget, your expenses. What are the costs for running this project? Do you need to pay instructors? Do you need to purchase or rent specialized equipment? Rental fees for your venue and any equipment needed? Your licenses and permits? Do you need to have insurance? You need to pay for, think about advertising. How much is it going to cost? And food, gifts, anything. Anything that relates to money must come under your budget. No matter how small or how large, put it in your budget. If you plan for it, chances are you'll be able to pay for it. You're looking at your revenue next. Who is paying? Is it the participants paying? Is it the community group or organization paying? Are you going to get sponsors for your event? How about the grants? Are you going to write in for grants to push your project through? Or are you going to use all of the above steps? Then you want to move on to creating a budget tracking system. Compile your list of expenses and revenues into one document. Include a contingency amount, for example, 10 to 15% of your total budget, to ensure that the outcome corresponds to the financial goals for your project. Don't overestimate your income. Secure approval for your budget if required. And I would like to remove the if required. I would say secure approval for your budget. It makes better in the long run. Manage your budget properly. Make sure you got your invoices to match your payments and your payments to match your invoices, vice versa. Track your actual expenses and revenues for comparison with your budget targets. Don't forget, tracking is very, very important. Next up is your marketing and promotion. Determine the best way to reach your potential participants, be it Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, printed materials, through the website, flyers, whatever the case may be. But you need to decide the best way to reach your target audience. Consider the demographics of your target audience when developing and marketing your strategy. By that we mean, consider the age of the people, the income of the people, where they are located, and where your project will be held or your event will be held. So that, if Tom Jones has to take the bus, he's taking one bus to get to your project, and he can get to your project and back home safely without being missing a bus or being running the chance of not getting a bus to get back home. So another example, if your project is for young families with children or youth, social media may be the preferred method of communication to get your information out to them. Remember to build in enough time for the promotion of the project and try to find several ways to reach out to the people that you want to attract. Promotional information should include your project details, title, description of the project, date, time, location, fees, age of participants, any equipment requirements. Contact information. How can they get a hold of you to get more information if what you've sent out there does not satisfy them? Your registration information and your cancellation policy. Project delivery. Your project staff. Confirm your instructor is qualified to deliver the projects and meet any required certification and industry standards. Obtain a completed police service information check if the instructor will be working with children and youth under 18. If you are contracting an instructor's services, a written contract is recommended, including proof of adequate liability insurance. Contact the Workers' Compensation Board and your insurance provider to determine how to best deal with each scenario. Orientation and project setup. Check qualifications, specialized training or certifications to ensure that they are correct or current for your staff and volunteers. All contracts and agreements for instructors and rental space are signed prior to project start. You want to make sure you do orientation and safety training, emergency procedures, first aid, anything that comes under the umbrella for training in emergency situations. You want to go over the duties and or the roles and expectations for project delivery. Set up and take down procedure for the project venue, for project equipment and supplies. Who's going to deliver stuff to the site? Who's going to take them away? Who's going to clean up? All of that. Adequate equipment and supplies are in place and in good working order. And then you want to ensure the instructor has attendance forms or class lists with names of everyone registered for the project. Track the attendees to ensure everyone present has registered and paid for your project. Then you want to do the project follow-up. Ensure all outstanding invoices have been paid. Store, if applicable, or remove equipment and supplies from. On evaluation. Project evaluation is the systemic gathering, analysis, and reporting of data about a project to assist in decision making. Evaluation should be an integral part of project management and should occur during all phases of a project. Your project evaluation is an important step in determining what went well, what could improve, and what you learned from this experience. Survey your project participants, staff, and volunteers to gain important feedback on prime days, times, location for your projects, what improvements or changes could or should be made, assess the needs of your target audience. Improving project materials and equipment to assess the efficiency of a project cost benefit analysis. What new project opportunities will be beneficial to your community? And to be successful, you need to make ongoing decisions about the projects you deliver. Questions should be specific and clear and answer key questions that support your organization's goals. Project evaluations directly reflect a project's process and/or outcome objectives. Some methods you can use to gather information and feedback are 1. Focus groups, 2. Online surveys, 3. Questionnaires, and 4. Social media. And now we're down to the project planning template. So this template encompasses everything that we've spoken about before, that we've gone through briefly. So here you want to make sure that your project has a name. You're going to look at the rationale and then the research. So under the rationale, A, what is the purpose of this project and how will it meet your community needs? B, are there synergies or overlap with other groups or organizations? Example, community groups, partners, schools, churches, you name it. You need to make sure that your project is not overlapping with them. If not, find a way to work with them. 2, your research. A, identified needs for this project and the capacity for it in your community. Emerging trends, population demographics, and you want to look at the financial demographics as well as the age range that you're trying to meet. B, your budget assessment, cost to run your project, your instructors, equipment, supplies, everything. You want to jot it down there so that you know you're on the right move. Your benefits, potential benefits of the project and impacts, meeting the community needs. That's what you want to know, that your project is meeting your community need. Your risk, potential risk for project delivery and plan for risk deduction. What hindrances or obstacles that could prohibit us from running a successful project? You want to note all possibilities so that you can have a plan B to rectify it should such things come into play. You want to look at your project details. Who is qualified to deliver your project? Will you need instructors, coaches with specific skills or certifications? Or could any old volunteer just do what needs to be done? Facilities and space option for project delivery and appropriate the space, location, or availability. So again, you want to make sure that your audience can get to the facilities, get to the event space. And then you're looking at scheduling. So what is the best time? Is it in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening to run your project? Are you doing drop-in so anybody can come, and when they come, they just register when they come, or they register before? Those are some of the things you want to think. Then you're looking at communication strategies. With whom do you need to communicate the project information? Is it your schools, the local businesses, the churches, the parent groups, the nurses association, the different youth groups? Who are you going to send your information out to? How will project information be delivered? Is it going to be online, social media, newspaper, flyers, word of mouth? You need to have it noted. And then your project evaluation. What performance indicators will you use to measure success of this project? Was it a pilot project? Was it a focus group? Surveys? You name it. This is where it is. And In a nutshell, that is how you plan your projects.